for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah. What's up? This is our boy Coach Malachi Williams in the building. And we back. Once again, back. It's the incredible. Shout out to Chuck D. Yeah, man, we back, man. New media today, USA Boxing. We're back. I'm a little tired today, guys. I had a very strenuous workout yesterday. Running, pull-ups. I did a lot of stuff yesterday, man. So I'm still tired. I have not worked out today yet. It's raining down here in Florida. This tropical storm is passing through, so it is what it is. But this is what we're going to do. We want to talk about the star power, or I want to point out some double standards here today. I want to point out some hypocrisy here today. I want to prove to you guys how I'm not even going to get on the fans. Not even going to get on the fanboys. You want to know why? Because a lot of fans are biased, and then fanboys are just an extreme or fanatics. And it's too easy for me to point these inconsistencies, to point out these inconsistencies, to point out the overwhelming favoritism, which there's nothing wrong with that. I just want you guys to come out there and admit it. It's nothing wrong. You know, I point out the hypocrisy, the double standards. And you guys know me. You know my saying. If you didn't have a double standard, you wouldn't have a standard at all. Well, we're going to point this out today. I got the receipts. And you guys know that I love coming with receipts. Pause. You're going to have to explain to me how, because we're going to do some math today. I'm pretty good in math and with basic math, right? So we're going to do some math today. And you're going to have to explain to me how numbers are bad for one fighter. Oh man, he only did such and such, such and such. But when it comes down to your favorite fighter, who's doing the exact same numbers that you discredited the other fighter for doing, that fighter is a superstar, but the other fighter who did the exact same numbers because you don't like him because he's not a PBC fighter and he's not on that side of the street, he's doing terrible numbers. I want to find out who are all of these Tank Davis defenders today. All the real Tank Davis fans and defenders, please stand up. Shout out to Toon. I know Toon is a diehard Tank Davis fan. You're going to have to explain something to me. And I promise, and listen, I got something in the cut waiting on you. I promise you, when I finish showing you these receipts, I'm going to show you how hypocritical you are when it comes to certain fighters. And I'm going to show you the double standards. And I'm going to show you how, you know, I already said the hypocritical part of it, but the double standards of the whole thing. When it comes to Terrence Crawford, his pay-per-view numbers is terrible. He ain't no star. He ain't this, he ain't that. Okay. He only did 200,000 with Amir Khan. Okay. Valid argument. But Tank Davis did 200,000 with Mario Barrios. He's a superstar. So what defines and determines what's a superstar or not in the sport of boxing? It all depends on which side of the fence you're standing on and who you want to believe. It's very subjective. If I don't like this guy, he does 200,000, he's a flop, I don't like him, he ain't nobody in the sport of boxing. But if I like a guy and he does the exact same numbers as the guy that I don't like, He's a superstar. He's not a flop. And I did discredit the other fighter for doing the same numbers, but it doesn't matter. I can do that. That's my double standards, and I'm just going to stick with that. No. It's not that easy. See, I'm 47 years old. I'm old enough to know better. Now, if I was a casual, if I was a casual, just started watching boxing within the past 5 years, you can probably fool me. If I was a casual, you can probably fool me. But I'm not a casual. I'm going to pull you out the closet today. Today, I'm pulling you out the closet. And you're not going to get away with this today. But what we're going to do, we're also going to talk about Leonard Ellerbe, and we're going to talk about Floyd Mayweather and how this PBC model, this shit ain't working. Because we fixing to pull up some of the other PBC fighters' numbers as well. I'm going to prove a point today. Now, if you are a diehard PBC supporter, and it doesn't matter what facts I'm going to show you, you're going to ignore it anyways because it doesn't support your narrative. I get it. If it doesn't support your narrative, I get it. But we're not going to play these crackhead games today. Not with me. You can probably, whatever bizarro world that you want to live in, whatever web that Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe wants to spin for your favorite fighter, if you want to believe that, cool, go ahead and believe it. There's nothing wrong with that. But your ass ain't going to convince me. Because what determines whether a person is a superstar or not in any sport or in any venue is called supply and demand. If there is a demand for you and you meet that demand, the supply will be met. So before I get started, let me write this down, guys, because I be forgetting shit all the time. I get ahead of myself. So we're going to talk about, let me write this down, supply and demand. Writing this down. I'm writing this down. We're going to talk about supply and demand in the sport of boxing. We're not going to go by the hyperbole, the hype, the cap, the feelings. We're not going to deal with that. We're going to deal strictly with the numbers. You're going to have to get around these goddamn numbers with me. Because I'm fixing to expose this Leonard Ellerbe bullshit. I know better. I don't want to hear man, in the day's time, things is different. No. You're not going to get away with that one neither. You're not going to get away with that one neither. Nah. You're not going to get away. Oh, man, when the daytime, man, it ain't like it was back in the day. Nah. Your ass ain't going to get away with that one. Because if that was the case, when it comes to certain fighters, you don't use that same argument for them. But when it comes to your fighter and your fighter underwhelms at the box office, you want to bring up, you want to come with an excuse for him. Nah, we ain't going to do that today. Not today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe the week after next and the week after next, maybe 2-3 months from now. But today, we're not going to play these crackhead games. Not today. I'm old enough to know better. You can fool these new booties. Dudes that just started watching boxing 2-3 years ago. I call them social media fans. The social media, you can fool the social media babies. You can fool the social media babies. The social media babies, most of them are in their 20s. I would say they like 33, between the ages of 18 and 33 years old. You can fool the social media babies. You can't fool old ass niggas like me. Can't fool me, not me. But anyways, let's get started. Okay, what I want to send a shout out to JC in the building. JC, what's going on? King T.O., salute to you, fam. Johnny Blaze, what's going on? What's going on, baby boy? Hyphy, what's going on? OG, double OG, quadruple OG, triple OG, what's going on? Corn Kid, salute to you, fam. James Burrell, shout out to you. Boxing community, what's happening, man? What's happening? Bob Zulane, what the lick read? Peter Barn Arts, what's good? Double A the Sagittarius, salute to you, fam. Mad Dog H, what's going on? Opender, what's going on, fam? Elvis, what's happening? Alice Skill, salute to you. Valiant, what's going on, fam? Let's see, Diallo Huggy, what's going on? Philly Fly, salute to you, my brother, Philly Fly. JSZN, what's going on, fam? Salute to you. Salute to you, fam. Shout out to Revolt. Revolt, salute to you, fam. Bon Scott, what's going on? Stu Brunts.
Hey, Leroy.
Super chat received.
Playtime.
Salute to you, fam, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Mad Dog H, what's going on? Wow. Bruce Gold, salute to you, fam. My brother Bruce. Shout out to my sister Lisa Bales. Let's hit the Ali Bell for Lisa. Anthony Kane, what's going on? Peter Von Ark, salute to you, fam. Jawan Rumbles. I already know what side of the fence you on. Wow. Let's do this though. I'm gonna get started. We're fixing to cook. We're fixing to cook today. We're fixing to cook today. Again, what I always say, I can always tell how old you are based on the shit you say in the comments. I automatically know how old you are, what side of the fence you on, where you at. Where you at? Hold on, I'm not finished giving everybody their shout outs. I'm doing something. Yep, doing something right now. Pulling something up right quick. Pulling something up right quick. Yeah, we gonna pull this up right quick. Because we're gonna find out. I'm finna point out the double standards of hypocrisy that's going on. And I'm gonna show you the smoke and mirror game that Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather is trying to pull over the fans' eyes. You're not gonna give me some dog shit and tell me it's a Snickers bar. No, you're not gonna do that. Not with me. You see what I'm saying? You can fool these social media babies. You can fool these Instagram babies. You can fool them. You can fool these Instagram babies. You can fool these social media babies. You can fool them, right? You can. But your ass can't fool my 47-year-old ass. Can't fool me. Can't fool me. You see what I'm saying? You cannot fool me. So let's go ahead because I'm fixing to start cooking. Shout out to Valiant. Shout out to Danny Drew. Shout out to King Tio. Shout out to Kansas City Mac. Shout out to Corn Kid. Shout out to my brother Charlo. Shout out to Elvis. Shout out to Bon Scott. Shout out to Pomoto. Shout out to Richard Sletsky. Shout out to Danny Drew. Shout out to James Burrell. And who else we have, man? Because I want to get started. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and do this. Shout out to Kitten Macy. And I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get started.
Hey, Leroy.
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
Shout out to 9 Timo Mansell. You say, hey, coach, not a massive Tank fan. But is it fair to say his views was basically because of Mario Barrios, or he is not a superstar? Just want to know. Well, listen, Shout out to Topin Time and shout out to Joe Strummer. In order to become a superstar, I wrote something down called supply and demand. See, the fans have spoken. The true boxing fans. Now, if you are a diehard supporter of Floyd Mayweather Promotions, and if you are a diehard supporter of Tank Davis, then there's nothing that they can do wrong. Everything they do is right. You have no problem with what's going on, and you're just happy and you're singing hallelujah. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to give me horse shit and tell me it's a chocolate payday. I'm old enough to know better. You can fool the Instagram babies. You can fool the YouTube babies. You can fool the social media babies. And that's those guys from one age to another, between the ages of 18 and like maybe 33, 30. You can fool them. But your ass can't fool me. No, sir. Shout out to Jeff Lucietta. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at this, guys. I want to make sure I say this right. So, according to Leonard Ellerbe, guys, and Floyd Mayweather, Tank Davis is a pay-per-view star, and he is the biggest star in the sport of boxing, according to them. But the only problem with those who believe that, is that the numbers do not reflect what Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe are telling us. According to BoxRec, this is not according to Coach Malachi Williams. According to BoxRec, Tank Davis and Mario Barrios only did 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Flop. Some would say that because of today's time and climate that we are living in, 200,000 pay-per-view buys is a huge success. But this is simply not true. Because I know some fighters who do less than that, and those same fans turned around and said, "Oh man, he ain't doing the numbers." There are certain fighters say, "Oh man, I got bigger numbers than him. I'm big fish, cat. I'm big fish." Now we fixing to look at some big fish numbers today. Y'all got some explaining to do. When I finish laying out my case, I'm not looking to change anyone's minds. I'm looking to just point out some inconsistencies when it comes to certain fighters and how other fighters get a pass for mediocrity. That's what I'm going to point out. So don't get mad at me, get mad at the numbers. So let's go. Now, some would say, like I said before, because of today's climate, that 200,000 pay-per-view buys is a huge success. But this is simply not true. Do you want to know why? Because if that was the goddamn case, then explain to me, how can an old-ass Mike Tyson, who is retired, a lot of the young people probably even know who Mike Tyson is as much as they may know who Tank Davis is or whatever the case may be. How can an old-ass Mike Tyson and a Roy Jones Jr., how come they can come out of retirement and do an exhibition and they do 1.6 million on pay-per-view buys in this exact same climate that the biggest star in boxing is doing? Quote unquote. Make that make sense to me. So now, to me, it seems that the powers that be are trying to change the rules right before our eyes. Basically, the old banana in the tailpipe. And what they're trying to tell us is that they don't want us to go by what we're seeing, just go by what they say. No, I can't go for that. You're not going to tell me that a superstar, a guy who's supposed to be the biggest boxer name in the sport of boxing, according to Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather, and this nigga can't do nothing but 200,000 pay-per-view buys? Are you kidding me? Where are all the Tank Davis fans at right now? I'm looking for you. Where are all the Tank Davis defenders at right now? I'm looking for you. Explain it to me. Maybe you could teach my old ass something that I don't know. Maybe because I'm old and you're 47. You don't know what you're talking about, dog. See what it is. See what it is. See this what it is. See what had happened was. See what we thought. No. Nah. We're talking about big garage nose, snorting kilos by the pound, garage nose, Leonard Ellerbe. You're gonna tell me that one fighter who did 200,000 pay-per-view buys, he's a flop. He gets paid more money, guaranteed money, but your fighter does 200,000 pay-per-view buys, and he is a superstar. Now, in Tank Davis' defense, I'm not tearing Tank Davis down. So if you are a fan of Tank Davis, please don't get sensitive. Please do not turn Ralph Tresvant on me. Please don't turn Al B. Short on me. Please don't turn Christopher Williams on me, Chico O.L. DeBarge on me. Please don't turn Prince on me. I want you to listen. Because I'm going to point out your hypocrisy and your double standards. The numbers don't lie. Boxing is about supply and demand. What do I mean by that? Coach, what you mean by supply and demand? We're going to get down to the numbers and we're going to break this money down as well. We're going to get down to the numbers and we're going to break the money down as well. I have the receipts. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have the receipts, guys. I have the receipts. Let me go ahead and pull some of them up right now, though. And I'm finna pull something up on my computer. And I will have my monitor working, so we're going to start sharing my monitor as well. I had the receipts, though. We're going to look at some numbers. We're going to look at some numbers. I have some receipts. Yes. I have some receipts today. Anyways.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Shout out to Sly Tennessees. He said the internet gangsters don't want no smoke, coach. Yeah, we're not worried about the internet gangsters today. Shout out to all of the trolls and the haters who may come by.
Hey, Leroy!
Shout out to you.
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
Shout out to you. And Tank has done what? Several pay-per-views already? He's done several. So, this is not a shot at Tank Davis. I'm going to show you what the powers that be are doing. We finna expose Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
9 Timo Mansell. You just hit the nail right on the head. You're already talking about where I'm going at. It's all about supply and demand. I don't know about no pay-per-view and all of that, but I've been to a Tank Davis fight, and Tank to Atlanta is like Floyd to Vegas. It's empty until the main event. Yeah, Toon, you're right about that, brother.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
You're right about that, brother. You're right about that, Toon. In Atlanta, he sells. When Terrence Crawford fights in Omaha, Nebraska, it's packed. It's sold out. When Errol Spence fights in Dallas, Texas, he does good numbers. He doesn't sell the venue out, but he does good numbers there. When the Charlos perform in Houston, Texas, they do good numbers. Basically, when every fighter fights in their hometown, they're able to do good numbers. Why? Because they're fighting in their hometown. That's not hard to believe. Tank had people coming from all over the country to come see him fight in Atlanta, Georgia. So he has a good market right there in Atlanta. What I'm talking about, we're not talking about Tank Davis, what he did in Atlanta. We're talking about Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe saying that this guy is a superstar. He's a pay-per-view star, superstar. Okay, so for all of you internet babies, social media babies out there, let me show you something. So, according to Mike Carpenter, this is the PBC, right? The Charlo twins did a doubleheader October 2020, right? They did a doubleheader. I don't know if y'all remember that. The Charlo twins. They did a doubleheader. They did 100,000 plus pay-per-view buys together. They did terrible numbers. According to Mike Carpenter, Now that was according to Boxing News 24. According to Mike Carpenter, we're going to stick to PBC fighters. Because Floyd Mayweather is with the PBC. The Floyd Mayweather is the PBC. Floyd Mayweather is the PBC. Everything that came out under the PBC has been a flop in comparison to what Floyd Mayweather did. Deontay Wilder is the biggest pay-per-view star over there. Well, because he's fighting Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury couldn't sell flies to shit, and Deontay Wilder couldn't sell flies to shit. But so they need each other from a business standpoint. Their first fight, they only had 300,000 pay-per-view buys. Terrible. They bombed. Second fight, they did real good. They didn't get 1 million, but they did like 800,000, 850,000 pay-per-view buys. They did good. But the Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola, PBC pay-per-view. Guess what it did, guys? According to Mike Carpenter on his Twitter page, Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola only did 125,000 pay-per-view buys at $49.99 a pop. They did terrible. But according to the PBC model, this is a success. Unless you are another fighter fighting with another promotional company, then it's something different. Terrence Crawford, he had a flop pay-per-view performance. He fought Amir Khan. According to Mike Carpenter, Terrence Crawford did 200,000 pay-per-view buys when he fought Amir Khan. Those are terrible numbers. Terrence Crawford fought Amir Khan on pay-per-view. And he only did 200,000 numbers. 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Guess what? I will admit that was a flop. The only problem I have is, how come it's a flop when Terrence Crawford do 200,000 pay-per-view buys, but when a PBC fighter does 200,000 or less or 300,000, you same guys, not you guys in the chat, but some of these same guys will say that was a success. How is it that a fighter on this side of the street does the exact same numbers as the fighter on that side of the street, but this guy's a flop, but this guy's a superstar? And if we're going to base it on the numbers are exactly the same. It ain't adding up what you're telling me. The hypocrisy and the double standards is what I'm talking about. So what we're doing today, we're not talking about Tank Davis. We're talking about what Floyd Mayweather and them is doing. Floyd Mayweather, and this is on Mike Carpenter's page. Floyd Mayweather is trying to sell us, he's trying to piss on our forehead and tell us it's raining outside. Let's look at the payout though, guys. Let's look at the payout. Terrence Crawford gets paid $4.5 million per fight. Somewhere up in that range, 4.2, 4. It depends, it's like 4.3, 4.5. Those are the reports out there. Guaranteed. Irregardless of who he fights or not. Right? So let's look at that. Now, our young brother Tank Davis, for his Mario Barrios fight, Tank got paid $1 million guaranteed. Tank Davis got paid a $1 million guaranteed payout to fight Mario Barrios. So for all you Tank Davis fans out there, I'm finna break this down for you. We're gonna have some math today. Math. Mario Barrios got paid $500,000. These are the numbers. This is the payouts, right? Tank Davis gets 60% of the pay-per-view buys, the split. Mario Barrios is going to get 40% of the pay-per-view buys in the split. So let's do the numbers, guys. Let's do the numbers. And then we're going to talk about supply and demand in the sport of boxing. And we're going to wrap. I'm going to tie it all together. I'm not fixing to show you that Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather is full of shit. They lying to you. They're lying to us anyways. So Tank Davis getting paid a guaranteed $1 million. Writing it down right now. $1 million. He got paid a guaranteed $1 million to fight Mario Barrios. Barrios got paid a guaranteed $500,000. Finna do the math, y'all. We fixing to do the math today. So, regardless of what happened, Tank gonna at least get $1 million. This is the superstar in the sport of boxing now. The superstar is getting paid $1 million guarantee. Now, this same superstar fighter, how much was the fight? Pay-per-view. Some say it was $75, something like that, right? So let's do the math. $200,000 times $75. We got $15 million. This fight has generated thus far pay-per-view. Now I know what you're saying. Oh man, that's a lot of money, man. Tank getting paid $15 million. No. Before you get the Holy Ghost, before you start bankhead bouncing, before you start doing the floss and the swoop, before you start doing all of that, don't get carried away with this $15 million I just came up with. If the pay-per-view sold at $75 a pop, only 200,000 people bought the pay-per-view buys. So that means Tank fans ain't supporting him like that. You in a country with 330-something million people. He was only able to muster 300,000, 200,000 pay-per-view buys. That's not superstar status. I'm going to show you what superstar status is. If old ass Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. can come out of retirement from the old folks home and do an exhibition match and do 1.6 million pay-per-view buys in an exhibition match, you're trying to tell me that a superstar, according to Leonard Ellerbe, can only do 200,000? Nigga, please. Miss me with that bullshit. And I'm not going to let you get away with, oh, you got to understand, man, see what it is. A lot of people be doing illegal streaming now. No. His fans should have supported him. If he have fans like they say he does, and if he's a superstar like they say he does, then guess what? They should have came out and supported him. At least 500,000. Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather's doing a terrible job as a promoter, as it relates to Tank. But anyway, check this out though. So let's say they did 75,000. I mean 75,000. I mean they sold the pay-per-views for $75, right? It did 200,000. That's $15 million. Out of the $15 million, guess what? The network has to recoup their money. The promotional company, Floyd Mayweather Promotions, they have to recoup their money. They're not working for free. They got to get their money, right? So check it out, though. So 50% of that pay-per-view, that $15 million that that pay-per-view generated, 50%, that goes to the networks, Floyd Mayweather and whoever else may be. I'm finna break this shit down.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
Shout out to Julio Ocho. What you say? You say Tank can sell a burrito at Taco Bell plus Tank slow. We finna break down these numbers. So 50% of the $15 million that this pay-per-view has probably generated thus far at 75, I'm assuming that they sold it at $75 a pop. Because I think that I saw an advertisement, they were trying to sell it for like $75. I wasn't paying no $75 for Tank to fight no damn Mario Barrios. And we're going to talk about supply and demand. Because if you're telling me this guy's a superstar, I'm going to show you what a superstar is. Let's break this down. 200,000 pay-per-view buys is a failure. Terrence Crawford did 200,000 with a Miracon. It was a failure and a flop. Tank Davis did 200,000 with Mario Barrios. That was a failure and a flop. You can't, what's good for the gander is good for the goose. Mikey Garcia did, and Errol Spence did 360,000 pay-per-view buys. That was a flop. Chris Arreola and Andy Ruiz did 125,000 pay-per-view buys. That was a flop. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury did 300,000 pay-per-view buys. That was a flop in their first fight. Second fight, they did pretty good. Didn't do a million, but they did okay. I'm trying to show you guys what a flop is. Because what's happening is this here. The PBC, Mayweather Promotions, they're selling you, they're trying to sell us cow manure and tell us that it's a T-bone steak.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Shout out to Big Money, Texas, Toledo.
Boy.
I totally agree. Taylor versus Tank would have drawn way more pay-per-views. Guess what? We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about supply and demand. The fans is not fooled.
Hey, Leroy!
Shout out to Johnny Blaze.
Received.
Playtime's over, boy.
No, because you got some of these fans that's saying that this guy's a superstar. I'm fixing to prove that he ain't nowhere near a superstar. Is he talented? Absolutely. Tank Davis is one of my favorite fighters. But guess what? I'm not going to lie for him. Not going to cap for him. I'm not going to cap for Leonard Ellerbe or Floyd Mayweather or the PBC. Them dudes ain't making no money like that over there. Anyways, $7.5 million. Tank and Mario Barrios did 200,000 pay-per-view buys, 200,000 times $75. That's $15 million. We're going to cut that in half, divide it by 2, because guess what? The networks got to get their money. The promoters got to get their money. So that leaves Tank and Mario Barrios with $7.5 million. Tank only got paid $1 million guaranteed. Tank had a $1 million guaranteed payout. That's why it's important to get the guaranteed money up front. Why do you want to get as much guaranteed money up front? Because you don't know what's going to happen on the back end. That's why in football, they always fight to get the guaranteed money. In football, you can have a $100 million contract. You can have a 5-year, $100 million contract in football with $40 million of that guaranteed. That means no matter what happened, if I blow my knee out or if I get benched for a bad performance, I'm guaranteed $40 million no matter what. And if the rest of my money is based on incentives and what type of numbers I do, that can help me or hurt me. If the numbers do good, it can help me. If the numbers do bad, it can hurt me. And I won't make the money that I thought I was going to make because the numbers did not do what I thought they were going to do. And you know why the numbers didn't do what you thought they were going to do? Because of the level of competition who Tank is fighting. We're going to talk about supply and demand today.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Shout out to, hold on.
Super chat received.
Shout out to my brother Blood Retro Boxing.
It's over, boy.
Please subscribe to his YouTube channel. Retro Boxing and Documentaries. Please subscribe to his YouTube channel. So $7.5 million is what's left out of the pot. Mario Barrios he got paid a guaranteed $500,000. Tank got paid a guaranteed $1 million. So Tank is waiting to see what the number's going to be for his pay-per-view so he can get paid the rest of his goddamn money. Now remember, 60% of the $7.5 million, Tank gets that. He gets 60% of that. And Mario Barrios gets 40% of that. So let's do the math. 7.5 mil times 0.60. That's $4.5 million. So Tank, that's $4.5 million. $4,500,000. And he got paid a guaranteed $1 million. So Tank got $5.5 million, right? Shane Carpenter.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
Shout out to you, fam. You say, Coach, is pay-per-view overrated now? No, pay-per-view is not overrated. I'm going to show you how these promoters, these lying-ass manipulative promoters like Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe, how they play crackhead games and how some of their fan and some of the fan bases, depending on what side of the street you're on, how they are very selective and they pick and choose when they want to use numbers to support their claim. See, when it comes to a fighter who is not your favorite fighter, who's not a PBC fighter, if they do similar numbers, it's a flop. But when your fighter who's a PBC fighter does these same numbers, it's a success. Nah, we ain't finna do that today. But anyways, let's get back to it. So if Tank lucky, he come away with like $5.5 million. That's pretty good, right? Pretty good. Pretty good. But guess what? We got good old Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam want half of that. That's going to put Tank in the 40% tax bracket, somewhere up in there. IRS tax code. So that's going to be, so what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. So 4.5 mil. As a matter of fact, no. 5.5 mil. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. So we talking about, sorry about that, guys. $5.5 million. So that's going to leave him in the 40% tax bracket, more than likely. Uncle Sam going to get, so we talking about 5.5 mil. Uncle Sam going to get that. So he come away with $4.5 million from the pay-per-view plus the $1 million guarantee. That's going to be $5.5 million. Uncle Sam going to get 40% of that. I can tell you that off the ripple, or maybe more. So we're talking about Tank gonna walk away with $3.3 million. $3,300,000. We're assuming that the pay-per-view buys were $75, and we don't broke the numbers down already with it. It generated $15 million so far. You know, PBC got to get their cut. Tank got it. Floyd, Mayweather, them got to get their cut. The networks have to get their cut because they didn't put the fight on for free. So that left $7.5 million, right? Out of the 7.5, Tank got 60% of that. The rest went to Barrios, and we're gonna break the splits down for both fighters. So once Tank get his $5.5 million, the IRS gonna get 40% of that. That's gonna leave him with $3.3 million. After the $3.3 million, guess what? The promotional company got to get their 25%. So let's do the math on that. Y'all, we talking about superstar, right? So let's talk numbers. So since we talking about superstars. So $3.3 million. I think the promoter gonna get about what, 20%? 25%, something like that? We're gonna say 20%. That's $660,000. Probably gonna be 25%, to be honest with you. So we're talking about $3.3 million minus, and I'm pretty sure Floyd Mayweather will probably get more than that. That leaves Tank $2.6 million. The manager got to get his cut, whatever his management fee is. The trainer got to get their cut, whatever that is. Manager, trainer, and who else I'm forgetting? We know the promoter got his cut. We just did that. We know IRS going 40% of that gone. Damn near half of that going off the rip.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
So, shout out to New Money DMG. He said, New Money Today, USA Boxing. You the best on YouTube. Best YouTube channel. Keep cooking. Yeah, I'm trying to get to a point right here. So, when it's all said and done, Tank Davis may walk away with $2.6 million. You say he's a superstar, right? Well, let's look at some superstar numbers. Jamel and Jamal Charlo pay-per-view numbers are terrible. 100,000. And they did a joint, according to Mike Cobb, according to the Boxing News 24. They did a joint I remember they had a joint fight together. Chris Arreola and Andrew Ruiz did 125,000. Tank just did 200,000. So if Tank Davis is the biggest star in the sport of boxing, how in the hell is he only doing 200,000 pay-per-view numbers? And explain to me how old-ass Mike Tyson, who was not relevant in the sport of boxing today, amongst the social media babies, the people who was raised on social media, he's not relevant in the sport of boxing today as it relates to that. How in the hell is this guy him and Roy Jones doing 1.6 million pay-per-view buys for an exhibition match? Mike Tyson right now, he 175 years old. He can come out of retirement and do it. People will pay. He could do a pay-per-view just for people to see him hit the hand mitts, they hit the pads, they hit the punching bag. And he's hotter and I can outsell your favorite fighter right now in the sport of boxing. Well, outside of Canelo and maybe Anthony Joshua or something like that. But you get what I'm trying to say. Let's look at superstar, since y'all say superstar. So what's a superstar? According to the definition, Webster's definition, a superstar in sports or in entertainment is someone who is considered to be extremely talented. Is Tank Davis extremely talented? Yes, he is. So as it relates to his talent level, he's a superstar. But if that's the case, then Terrence Crawford is a superstar as well because of his talent level. Errol Spence will be considered a superstar because of his talent level. Manny Pacquiao will be considered a megastar. He's on another planet. Canelo Alvarez will be considered a megastar. He's on a different planet. Not with Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is the legend, but Canelo Alvarez is going to that point as well. Anthony Joshua, he's known all over the world. Maybe not as known as in the United States, but guess what, America? The planet is bigger than the United States. There's more to life outside of your neighborhood, your city, right? So, this is what a superstar is. A superstar is someone who's considered to be extremely talented, has great public appeal, and can usually command a high salary. Let's stop right there. A superstar is someone who has great public appeal and could usually command a high salary. Let's talk about this money right now. Tank Davis got paid $1 million guaranteed. If he's such a superstar, why in the hell he ain't commanding a bigger salary than that? How in the hell Terrence Crawford, who's not a superstar, according to a lot of people, how come he's getting paid a guaranteed $4.5 million, irregardless of who he fights, but Tank Davis is a superstar and quote-unquote the face of boxing, he only get paid $1 million guaranteed. And he's only doing 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Make that make sense to me, Leonard Ellerbe. Leonard Ellerbe, please make this make sense to me, sir. The numbers are not adding up. So guess what I did, guys? Guess what I did? I went on, I looked at the top 55 pay-per-view selling bouts throughout the history of pay-per-view in the modern era. Guess what? I'm going to give you a hint. There's nobody from the PBC that's on here outside of Floyd Mayweather. A successful pay-per-view, guys, is anything that could be considered a million pay-per-view buys or more. If you do $500,000 ain't bad. That's mediocre. If you do like 700,000-800,000, that's okay. That ain't bad. Don't let nobody tell you that 200,000 pay-per-view buys makes you a superstar. They are lying. Leonard Ellerbe is lying. 200,000 pay, and this is for you social media babies. You social media casual fans. This is for you. 200,000 pay-per-view buys from the superstar, the face of boxing is a flop. The people have spoken. It's all about what? Supply and demand. We're going to go back to supply and demand in a minute, and I'm going to wrap this thing on up. Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, and Evander Holyfield did 1 million pay-per-view buys. We're going to look at the top 55 pay-per-view numbers. You're not going to see Big Fish on there. Cap, call Al. You ain't going to see him on there. You're not going to see Bomb Squad on there. You're not going to see Tank Davis on there. But let's go. 1 million pay-per-view buys. Buster Douglas and Evander Holyfield. They did 1 million back in 1990. Bernard Hopkins, B-Hop. Oscar De La Hoya did 1 million pay-per-view buys. Number 49 on the list. Floyd Mayweather and Robert the Ghost Guerrero did 1 million pay-per-view buys. The Robert the Ghost Guerrero was nobody. Floyd did 1 million with him. Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. did 1 million pay-per-view buys. You do 1 million, you do pretty good. That could consider you a star. If you do 200,000, your ass ain't no star. Because it's all about supply and demand, right? It's all about supply and demand. Let's keep it moving, though. Let's keep it moving. Looking for some fighters, because it's showing all the pay-per-views from different sports and everything. We're looking for fighters right here. Floyd Mayweather and Juan Manuel Marquez did 1 million pay-per-view buys. You're going to see a lot of Floyd on here. You're going to hear a lot of Floyd on here. Canelo Alvarez, he's on here again. Canelo and Triple G in the second fight, they did 1.1 million pay-per-view buys. Canelo Alvarez is a superstar in the sport of boxing. The numbers don't lie. Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon did 1.1 million pay-per-view buys. Number 32. Manny Pacquiao, the legend, did 1.1 million pay-per-view buys against Antonio Margarito. Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez 4 did 1.1 million pay-per-view buys. That's the one where Manny Pacquiao got knocked out. Right? We're talking about boxing. Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield did 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. Got something for you today. Oh, so I don't want you saying, oh man, that's how it was back then. The day things changed. No. I got something for that too, because I know what you're going to say. Oscar De La Hoya versus Manny Pacquiao did 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. Superstar status. Manny Pacquiao versus Miguel Cotto did 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. Floyd Mayweather versus Victor Ortiz did 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. KSI and Logan Paul did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. Of damn YouTuber. Canelo Alvarez and Triple G on the first fight did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. Sugar Shane Mosley and Manny Pacquiao did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. That's number 20 on the list. Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno, the second fight, did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. That's number 19 on the list. Floyd Mayweather and Sugar Shane Mosley did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. That's number 14 on the list. Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. That's number 14 on the list. Evander Holyfield and George Foreman did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. That's tied for number 14 on the list. Several of them are tied for number 14. Manny Pacquiao and Marquez 3 did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. Looking at it right now, guys. I'll drop the link in the description so you can look at it for yourself. For all you non-believers. Floyd Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto did 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. That's number 12 on the list. Mike Tyson versus Peter McNeely did 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield did 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. We're looking at the top 55 pay-per-view sales of all time. Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson did 1.9 million pay-per-view buys. Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson 2 did 1.9 million pay-per-view buys. Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez did 2.2 million pay-per-view buys. Superstar. These are superstar numbers I'm reading to you guys. Oscar De La Hoya versus Floyd Mayweather did 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. This is when Floyd changed his name to Money May. This is when he became Money May. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, a MMA fighter, they did 4.3 million pay-per-view buys. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao did 4.6 million pay-per-view buys. These are the top 55 pay-per-views I just read to you. Did you notice what you didn't hear? You didn't hear Terrence Crawford on that list. You didn't hear Errol Spence on that list. You didn't hear Charlo twins on that list. You didn't hear Tyson Fury on that list. You didn't hear Deontay Wilder on that list. You didn't hear Tank Davis on that list. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh man, you know things are different now, dog. See what it is. See what it is. See, superstar status is different now because of the streaming and stuff, illegal streaming. This is why the numbers ain't do so well. Nah, you can't get away with that argument. You want to know why? How come old ass Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. was able to do 1.6 million pay-per-view buys in this exact same climate that your superstar fighters are fighting in right now? So you trying to tell me two old ass bad body men, retired boxers, can come out of retirement and do an exhibition match and they can sell more pay-per-views than your number one fighter? These promoters are lying to you. These promoters are lying to you. Nah, these promoters are lying to you. I know what you're going to say. Yo, man, because I see exactly what you're saying to him. Yeah, you got a lot of illegal streaming going on. But you don't say that when it comes to another fighter that you don't like. When it comes to Terrence Crawford, he doing terrible numbers. You don't say, oh, man, it's because of the illegal streaming. You don't say that. But when it comes to the PBC fighters, you bring up all these goddamn excuses for why they doing bad numbers. All I'm saying, keep that same energy. I'm just saying, keep that same energy. You can't tell me that this guy flopped because you don't like the guy. But then when your fighter do the same numbers, you run interference for him. Oh, man, what it is, it's because of the illegal streaming. Yeah, but you didn't use that same argument for this guy. Oh, it's because, that guy, I ain't really too crazy about him. He don't fit my narrative. Nah, we not finna play them crackhead games today. So let's talk about supply and demand. Do you want to know why Tank Davis did 200,000 pay-per-view buys? Why he did terrible numbers? Because because Mario Barrios is not the fight. It's not the fighter that the fans want to see him fight. I don't care who your favorite fighter is. If he's not fighting top-notch competition, there would not be a demand to see this dude fight. I don't care whether it's Canelo Alvarez. I don't care whether it's Terrence Crawford. I don't care whether it's Anthony Joshua. I don't care whether it's Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Tank Davis, the Charlo twins. I don't give a damn who it is. If you're fighting C-class fighters, you would do terrible numbers every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime.
Shout out to Shane Carpenter.
Boy.
He says that if Floyd is handpicking, he said if Floyd is handpicking Tank's opponents, who's out there that can beat him? In your opinion, Coach? We won't know until he fights somebody. See, the fans don't want to see Tank fight no damn Mario Barrios. The fans want to see if Tank is as good as advertised, and I believe he is. So for all you Tank Davis fans out there, please don't act I'll be sure on me right now. Don't turn Ralph Tresvant on me and become a man with sensitivity. I'm not here to babysit you today. I'm speaking facts. If Tank is as good as his promoters say he is, then I don't want to hear nothing about he should be fighting top level competition. He should be fighting Teofimo Lopez. He should be fighting Vasily Lomachenko. He should be fighting Devin Haney. He should be fighting any of those top, Josh Taylor at 140. The only undisputed champion in boxing that we have right now today. If he is as good as you say he is. I don't want to hear nothing about, oh man, you know what it is. See, they're on the wrong side of the street. That's bullshit, because guess what? We have a heavyweight championship fight coming up right now with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, and you have top-ranked fighters fighting PBC fighters on that same fight card. So we're not going to use, oh man, what it is. See, they're on the other side of the street. No, if that's the case, then how come Al Heyman and Bob Arum are working together to put Jared Anderson to fight a PBC fighter on the same fight card as Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder? Why is that? F.A. Jabbar is fighting a PBC fighter as well. You have all of these people on this fight card that are being cross-promote for this particular fight. Shout out to Toon for the super chat.
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
T.O. and Tank, the only ones at 35 that can sell, because Haney is super boring. Talks good, but boring. Ryan don't want that smoke with nobody. My thing is this here. When Floyd Mayweather say, yeah, man, we not trying to do any fight outside of the PBC Mayweather Promotions banner. We got plenty of fighters we can fight in-house. Guess what? He gonna continue to do terrible pay-per-view numbers because the fans ain't buying that shit. Yeah, you can take him to Atlanta, Georgia, and they'll come and see him fight there. They'll do that. But guess what? Online, ain't nobody paying for that shit. He did worse numbers fighting Mario Barrios than he did fighting Leo Santa Cruz. So that means he's regressing. He fought Leo Santa Cruz pay-per-view. Did terrible numbers. But then when he fought Mario Barrios, he did less numbers than he did when he fought Leo Santa Cruz. So how the hell he a superstar, Leonard Ellerbe? Tank Davis is an excellent fighter. Yes, he is. He's a superstar talent. But the only way we're going to know what he's made of, he's going to have to fight the top fighters. And until he fights the top fighters, then guess what? I can't say he's a top fighter. See, how do you know what Teofimo Lopez is made of? He fought the best fighter at that time at 135 and he beat him. The only way we're going to know what a fighter has is that they will have to fight each other. The fans is not going to spend $75 for a pay-per-view for you to fight Mario Barrios. You got almost 3 million subscribers on Instagram. How come that's not translating into pay-per-view sales? Hell, if you could just do 10% of that. If you got 1 million, listen, Tank got all these subscribers on Instagram, right? I think he got like 2.9 million, something like that. He could easily put out a post, hey man, listen man, this is Tank Davis, and y'all go buy the pay-per-view. I'm finna fight Mario Barrios. Just like that. Floyd Mayweather is supposed to be this master promoter, right? Leonard Ellerbe is supposed to be this master promoter, right? Well, how come the masters could not muster more than 200,000 pay-per-view buys for a fighter who they say is the face of boxing and he's the biggest superstar in the sport of boxing? The numbers is not adding up, dog. Numbers is not adding up. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Lomachenko was overrated, yada, yada, yada. But guess what? Guess what? Tank ain't fighting him. You trying to get $75 from people to pay for Mario Barrios. It's all about supply and demand. Who do the people want to see? Who do the people want to see Tank fight? They want to see Tank fight Lomachenko. They want to see Tank fight Teofimo Lopez. They want to see Tank fight Devin Haney. We don't want no excuses. Oh man, he can't fight him because that dude, he boring. He boring. He ain't got no hell of a style. Okay, but Mario Barrios got an exciting style? I'm showing you your hypocrisy today. I'm showing you your double standards. How when it comes to your favorite fighter, you feel the need to run protection for him. You want to run protective custody for him. Tank Davis will fight anybody at 130, 135, or 140. But his handlers at Mayweather Promotions, they do not have any faith in Tank. You want to know how I know they don't have any faith in Tank? Because they're not putting him in there with the so-called killers of those divisions. Anytime you're running interference for your favorite fighter, justifying him fighting a C-class fighter, because Mario Barrios is a C-class fighter. The numbers speak for itself. The man only did 200,000 pay-per-view buys. That's it. Nobody was interested in that shit. The demand didn't meet the hype. Is what I'm trying to say. Is this a knock on Tank? No, this is not a knock on Tank. So if you are a Tank Davis fan, do not get in your feelings right now. If you need some tissue, go get you some tissue and wipe your tears and blow your nose. What I'm telling you is the hype that Leonard Ellerbe, when Leonard Ellerbe says, who in the hell is Josh Taylor? Josh Taylor ain't nobody. Tank putting butts in the seats. He's a superstar. The numbers don't show he a superstar. You only paid the man $1 million guaranteed. He got a guaranteed purse of $1 million goddamn dollars. How in the hell is he a superstar? And he gonna get the rest on the back end from the pay-per-view buys. Okay, but the pay-per-view buys don't look that goddamn good. So when the tax man finished with him, when the networks get their money, the promoters get their money, and the cut man get his money, and the trainer get his money, and all of that stuff there, the man will be lucky to walk away with about $2.3 million. Canelo is a superstar. He getting paid big money. It's called supply and demand. The fans are demanding big fights from these superstar fighters in the sport of boxing. The reason why your superstar boxers are not doing well in the pay-per-view numbers is because they are not supplying the demand from the fans. We want to see Errol Spence fight Manny Pacquiao. That fight is going down. That's a damn good fight for Errol Spence. We want to see Terrence Crawford fight Sean Porter or Keith Thurman or Errol Spence or Manny Pacquiao. We want to see Teofimo Lopez fight Devin Haney. See Teofimo Lopez fight Lomachenko again. We want to see Tank Davis fight Shakur Stevenson. If he's too small, fight anybody in the 135-pound division or fight Josh Taylor at 140 pounds. Since he's the superstar, superstars don't duck no smoke. See, this is what you social media babies don't understand. These fighters that I grew up watching at 47 years old, these fighters I grew up watching, how you know that a fighter is good is based on the level of competition. If you ain't fighting nobody, don't tell me this guy's a superstar when the numbers don't add up, because I'm going to say who he beat. If the biggest name on your fighter's resume, since we want to talk about resumes when it comes to other fighters, let's talk about resumes. Since you want to talk about resumes, let's talk about resumes. Because I noticed that you guys, not you guys in the chat, but some of these guys are these PBC fighters, fans of the PBC fighters, they have a whole lot of goddamn double standards when it comes to their fighters. And you know what I say, if you didn't have a double standard, you wouldn't have a standard at all. Tank Davis's handlers do not have faith in Tank Davis. You want to know how I know why? Because Tank Davis handlers is not letting Tank fight the Lomachenkos, the Devin Haneys, the Teofimo Lopez's, the Josh Taylors. Leonard Ellerbe just came out and said, Josh Taylor is nobody. Don't nobody know who he is. He can't sell worth nothing. Tank put butts in the seats in Atlanta. Shit, well, Josh Taylor can put butts in the seats in the UK. Everybody can put butts in the seats in their hometown. Hell, Terrence Crawford can sell out the arena in Omaha, Nebraska. Nobody will argue that, because every time he fight in Omaha, Nebraska, it's a sellout event. Errol Spence do good numbers in Dallas, Texas. He don't sell the event out, but he do damn good numbers. The Charlos, they do good when they fight in Houston, Texas. So when you sit back and say, oh, Josh Taylor, he ain't nobody, he can't put butts in the seats, when he fought for undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world, he got it the hard way. Hell, Josh Taylor fought more tougher competition than Tank Davis did. If you want me to be honest, Tank Davis don't have a better resume than Josh Taylor. Who you fight defines that. So Leonard, cut it out. When you say that Josh Taylor is nobody, we don't believe you. This is something that you're doing. This is something that you're doing to discredit Josh Taylor. So you can justify your fighter fighting another flat-footed Mexican fighter who don't nobody want to see him won't even pay to see. His own fans won't even pay to see him fight these guys, i.e. the 200,000 pay-per-view buys. It's all about supply and demand. We are demanding that we see our top fighters fight each other. You are not supplying the demand, so we ain't buying that shit. That's what 200,000 pay-per-view buys tell me. Tank Davis fans did not buy his fight. You know why they didn't buy it? Because he was fighting Mario Barrios, a fighter who no one's never heard of before. Facts. I ain't never heard of Mario Barrios. Never heard of him. And apparently Tank Davis fans never heard of him, and they didn't even support him with the dollars. So Leonard Ellerbe, Floyd Mayweather, with all due respect, sir, I get it. You want Tank to fight less, low risk, high reward. You want him to fight low risk, high reward fights. I understand that. But in order for him to get the kind of money that he is looking to make, he's going to have to step up his level of competition. The man ain't fought nobody. I'm just saying what a lot of people already been saying. He fought, he fought a couple good guys, stuff like that. But, nah, man. If he is as good as you say he is, he's supposed to be fighting the Lomachenkos, the Devin Haney's, the Teofimo Lopez's, the Josh Taylors. Don't tell me, oh man, ain't nobody interested in that fight. No, Leonard Ellerbe, you're not interested in those fights. The fans want to see your fighter fight these guys. So when Leonard Ellerbe tells me, oh man, them guys don't do no good numbers. Hell, Tank ain't doing no good numbers. Don't tell me that, oh man, we ain't, what has he done? You know how Leonard Ellerbe does it, guys. Oh, what has he done? He ain't done nothing in the sport of boxing. What his numbers look like? It look just as good as Tank's. Yeah, Toon, you bought it. You bought the fight. You one person though. You and 200 other thousand people bought it. So my point is this here. Tank Davis is a phenomenal talent. But until he step his game up, I ain't gonna say Tank, until his handlers step that game up and give us fans the fights that we want to see, he gonna do terrible numbers. The man got a net worth of $4 million. The only way Tank gonna get paid big money, and he's not making big money, he's gonna have to fight big time fighters. Stop telling me, oh man, Josh Taylor ain't nobody. when he's the only undisputed junior middleweight champion, when he's the only undisputed fighter in boxing. There's no dispute about that. There's a dispute about Teofimo Lopez because Devin Haney has the WBC strap. There's a dispute about that. There's no dispute about Josh Taylor, though. Don't tell me, yeah, man, see what it is. See, what we're going to do is we're not going to make any other promoters rich. We're going to keep all of our fights in-house between Mayweather Promotions and PBC. We're going to keep all of our fights in-house. Guess what? The nigga going to continue to do terrible numbers. Stars fight other stars. That's what makes you a superstar. Star power plus star power equals superstar status. Who you fight? What made Muhammad Ali so great? He fought the best there was in his division. He didn't say, oh man, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fight certain fighters who with my promotional company. Ali didn't say that. Sugar Ray Robinson didn't say that. Rocky Marciano didn't say that. Larry Holmes didn't say that. Marvelous Marvin Hagler didn't say that. Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Shane Mosley, Pernell Whitaker did not say that. But Floyd Mayweather is saying that. But when Floyd Mayweather was a fighter, he fought way more better competition.
Hey, Leroy.
Super chat received.
Playtime's over.
Shout out to Nightlife 301. What's the rush? Take his time. And I bought the fight. Great show. Wow. So when it comes to Tank, what's the rush? Tank almost have 30 fights. Josh Taylor fought some killers in order to become undisputed. What was the rush with him? And if he is as good as y'all say he is, there's really no rush. He's ready for these guys right now. You don't think Tank is ready for Teofimo? You don't think Tank is ready for Lomachenko? You don't think Tank is ready for Devin Haney? You don't think Tank is ready for Josh Taylor? And if you believe that, why are you not demanding that fight? DJ, what'd you say, Coach? You had to be there in Atlanta to see what happened when Tank walked into the arena. Tank is his star, but we as boxing fans knew Leonard Ellerbe was capping about Josh Taylor. Yes, I'm not saying DJ. I'm not saying Tank is not a star. I'm not crapping on Tank Davis. So for all you Tank Davis fans, I'm not crapping on your fighter. I know how sensitive you guys are. Trust me, I get it. I know how sensitive you Tank Davis fans are. I'm not crapping on your fighter. What I'm saying is his promoters, his handlers are trying to tell me that this guy's a superstar and he's clearly not. Yeah, he can sell out. He can sell Atlanta. Just like Terrence Crawford can sell Omaha, Nebraska. Just like Josh Taylor can sell out the O2 Arena probably in the UK. Everybody can sell in their own hometown, is what I'm saying. So you can't show me, man, look what he did in his own hometown. He's supposed to did that. Every fighter is a star in their hometown. I know Tank Davis is from Baltimore, and I know Tank had people come from all over to see him fight throughout the United States. But what I'm saying is this here. Superstar status mean that you are in high demand from a monetary standpoint. The boy only got paid $1 million guaranteed. He only did 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Explain to me, how can an old-ass Mike Tyson and an old-ass Roy Jones Jr. do an exhibition fight and do 1.6 million pay-per-view buys in the exact same climate? Matter of fact, it was in the worst climate because they had the lockdowns. They don't have lockdowns anymore in Georgia and in Florida and stuff like that. So Tank should have did better, is what I'm trying to say. If he is superstar, is he a star? Yes, he is. Is he a star fighter? Does he have superstar talent? Yes, he does. But Teofimo Lopez is the unified champion. And he has less fights than Tank Davis. And he's younger than Tank Davis. You guys have a different standard, I notice, when it comes to other fighters that has nothing to do with your fighter. When it comes to your fighter, oh man, you know, what's the rep? We need to take our time. But then when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, oh, he need to be fighting this guy, fight that guy, fight that guy. But you don't keep that same vigor and energy when it comes to your fighter. I wonder why. So I'm pointing out the hypocrisy and the double standards. And you guys know my saying, if you didn't have a double standard, you wouldn't have a standard at all. So all I'm saying is this here. It's all about supply and demand. The demand is, this is what I demand as a boxing fan. If you want me to buy a Tank Davis pay-per-view fight, which I have never bought one, I'm going to have to see him fight Teofimo Lopez, a Vasily Lomachenko, a Devin Haney, or a Josh Taylor, or even a Regis Prograis. I will pay for a Regis on Prograis. Do you want to know why? Because if he's the superstar and he has the talent and he's the biggest known fighter on the planet, according to Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather, if he is this goddamn superstar and his talent is that goddamn good, then he should be fighting top-notch fighters. That's for all fighters. That's for Terrence Crawford. That's for Shakur Stevenson. That's for Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor, Vasily Lomachenko, Canelo Alvarez, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. That's for any fighter. If you are a top fighter, you should be fighting other top fighters. I'm not paying for you to fight no more Uber drivers, no more tomato cans, none of that. You're not going to piss on my face and tell me that it's raining. This is what you're trying to do, Leonard Ellerbe. You're trying to tell me that Tank Davis is his superstar, and he's clearly not. He's a popular fighter. A lot of people in the hood like him. He got that hood love. He's a phenomenal talent. But the only way you're going to know how good a fighter really is depending on the level of competition who he fights. I don't want to hear no, oh man, what we gonna do, dog? We just gonna stay on our side of the street and we just gonna continue to fight all PBC and Floyd Mayweather promotion fighters. Marvin Hagler didn't say that. When you say you the best, you call out everybody. Hell, Shannon Briggs is about 50 years old. He's still talking about let's go champ. Shannon Briggs still pulling up. Shout out to Shannon Briggs. So, is Tank Davis a superstar? Is Tank Davis a pay-per-view superstar? Hell no. He's not. Is he a talented fighter? Yes, he is. Very talented. Does he have potential to be the best at 140, 135, or 130? Yes, he does. But until he supplies the demand. And what is the demand? We demand that you fighters fight top-notch guys. This is why Jamal Charlo is doing terrible pay-per-view numbers. Nigga can't even do 100,000. Because he's fighting Montiels. And he's justifying not fighting, turn down a Canelo fight. He's not fighting Boo Boo Andrade. He's not fighting Triple G. And he's not fighting Murata. He's not even trying to unify the division. So this is why PBC, they pay their fighters low guaranteed money. This is why PBC, they pay their fighters low guaranteed money. Because they're banking on you that, hey man, look, you have to get paid on the back end, on the pay-per-view, depending on what the pay-per-view do. So if you're fighting a fighter who no one's never heard of, you're guaranteed to do terrible pay-per-view numbers. Because you're not supplying the demand. The fans don't want to see you fight no more scrubs.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
Shout out to Y2K for the super chat. He said when Floyd tried to match him up with better competition, Tank got mad and accused Floyd of wanting him to lose. No lie. Your barbershop was on the interview. Efren, what you say, fam? Coach, they don't even let Tank call out a fighter after they fight. Nah, they don't. His handlers are making him look bad. If Tank Davis, excuse me, guys, hold on. Man, listen. My favorite fighter of all time is Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray gave everybody that work. He went up and down divisions fighting from welterweight to junior to middleweight. He went up and down divisions kicking ass. And he lost on him too. This is how you define, this is what a fighter's legacy is built upon. Your level of competition. Well, the name of the game is to less risk, less risk, high reward. The name of the game is to be smart, take as less punishment as possible. Yeah, but when it comes to Terrence Crawford, y'all don't say that. You say he ain't fought nobody. When it comes to Anthony Joshua, y'all don't say that. Y'all say, oh, he ain't fought nobody. I'm showing you your double standard. And you won't even admit it. That's the crazy part about it. But I got to call you out on it. The truth, to Coach's point, Sugar Ray Robinson fought for a promoter named Charlie Michaelis, in Paris, where he was asked to ship his classic Flamingo Cadillac, also in London, with Jack Solomon, superstar. Yeah. Yeah. The cost is passed on to the consumer. Yeah. Ain't nobody paying no $75 for no damn pay-per-view to see Tank fight no Mario Barrios. None. Who gonna pay for that? 200,000 pay-per-view buys speak for itself. Now, if you want to become a superstar in the sport of boxing, I'm finna tell y'all how to do it. It's real easy. How do you become a superstar in the sport of boxing? You fight other star fighters. You fight top-notch competition. Star plus star equals superstar. That's what makes a fighter a superstar. That's what makes a football team an elite football team. When you watch the Super Bowl, right? My Tampa Bay Buccaneers played the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs was favored in that Super Bowl. How do we know that Tampa Bay was the best team? They played the best team, Kansas City Chiefs. And not only did they shut them down, not only did they beat them, not only did they annihilate them, they shut them down. They didn't even let them score a touchdown. So now we know that Tampa Bay is the elite football team because they beat a superior football team, the defending Super Bowl champions. How do we know that Tom Brady was able to win another Super Bowl without Bill Belichick? He had to leave and go to another team and win another Super Bowl. Now you can say, you know what? Tom Brady has won a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. The only way you're going to know how great any fighter is depending on the level of competition and who he's fighting. You're not going to tell me 200,000 pay-per-view buys is superstar status when another fighter did 200,000 pay-per-view buys and y'all said it was a flop. It's the same goddamn numbers. The only difference is that one fighter who did 200,000, that's with Top Rank, he get paid more money guaranteed purse, 4.5 million. And this fighter over here get paid a guaranteed purse of 1 million. That's the only difference. And different promotional companies. So that's all I'm saying. Tank Davis is not a pay-per-view star. Cut it out. I don't read you guys the top 55 pay-per-view throughout the history of pay-per-view. Nobody from the PBC is on there outside of Floyd Mayweather. You got Floyd, Mike Tyson, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, Oscar De La Hoya, B-Hop, Lennox Lewis, Holyfield. Hell, my fighter, Roy Jones, not even on there. Pernell Whitaker not even on there. Canelo's on there. These guys are social media fighters. Well, they have, they're popular on social media. I say that, not social media fighters. They're popular on social media. So, Leonard Ellerbe, what you need to do, sir, I know you got that big wide-ass garage nose, probably snorting a whole kilo of cocaine right now, allegedly. Allegedly. Got to throw that in there. Garage nose, Leonard Ellerbe. You need to get your boy Tank in there with some more killers, man. If he's a killer, he need to jump in there with some more killers. Sharks swim with sharks. We don't want to see Tank in there with no more C-level fighters. We don't want to see Tank in there with no more small fighters that's moving up to fight him. We want to see Tank in there with some killers. You want to know why I want to see Tank in there with some killers? Because I believe Tank is a killer himself. Killers need to be fighting killers. See, I understand that this is a new fight fan era. These are the social media babies that's watching boxing right now. So I get it. You guys are from between the ages of 18 to 25, 30s. So I get it.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
That was the time when pay-per-view was only for major fights. Now we're getting Chris Arreola versus Andy Ruiz. Y2K, shout out to you, brother, for the super chat. Chris Arreola and Andy Ruiz, they did 125,000 pay-per-view buys. The fans did not want to see that shit. They have spoken. I'm telling you, man, the shit ain't adding up. And this is the problem, too. You have these fans of their favorite fighters. They're listening to what the Leonard Ellerbes and the Floyd Mayweathers are saying, and they're taking it and running with it without looking at the math. And because when you love a fighter, it's subjective to you, right? It's subjective to you. But when you as a fan go to making excuses for why this fighter is not fighting another A, okay, if your fighter is an A+ fighter, he should be fighting other A+ fighters. A+ should not be fighting a C+ fighter. Because you're not supplying the demand. When Tank Davis fights Teofimo Lopez, it's going to do damn good numbers. At least 500,000 pay-per-view buys. At least that. That'd be decent. Or maybe more. You want to know why? Because somebody getting knocked out that fight. Because of styles. Tank Davis and Teofimo, they fight very similar to me. I would love to see that fight. But if your guy is as good as he say he is, we won't know unless he fight competition that's just as good as him. That's all I'm saying. That's with any fighter. Shout out to Smith & West. That's with any fighter. So we don't need nobody putting nobody in protective custody. We're not going to hold him, give him some sugar. No, we're not doing that. Hell no. What we going to do, we going to put his ass in there with some killers. Canelo Alvarez, we don't want you to fight no more Yildirims. You need to be in there with some killers. Caleb Eggplant, sign the contract, sir. Mr. Color Me Bad, Caleb Eggplant, sign the contract. Take your ass whooping like a man. I already got a bet with me and Toon. If that fight happens, me and Toon got a $250 bet. He like Caleb Eggplant, I like Canelo. Southside Boxing, Coach, we should take some of the blame for this. Well, not people like us, but the public. They pay for that ish. So why wouldn't they keep on doing it? They're not even paying for it on Southside Boxing. They'll pay to go to the fight because they are supportive of Tank Davis. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they're not even paying for the pay-per-view. 200,000. America has a country, we have like 330 million people. Explain to me how can a Mike Tyson, who is not relevant in today's boxing, because we have a different fan base right now in boxing. We have social media babies in boxing. They won't even support their own fighters with their dollars on pay-per-view. They would rather illegally stream it or whatever the case may be. They don't even support their fighters like that. But Mike Tyson, old ass, and him and Roy Jones can come out of retirement and do 1.6 million in an exhibition match. Make that make sense to me.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
Shout out. Oh. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on. Let me get this shit out. Throw this up here. Explain that to me. Hello? Hey, I'm talking about some hello. Sorry about that, guys. Explain that to me, though. How in the hell can an old ass Mike Tyson, wait a minute, let me put this back down. Shit ain't sounding right. Okay, cool. All right, sound better. How can an old ass Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., two of my favorite fighters who I was a fanboy of, how can they do 1.6 million in a pandemic and Tank only do 200,000 and he's a superstar? Nightlife, shout out to you for the super chat.
Super chat.
Who is fighting on the A side in the killer versus killer fights? That's the problem. Both of them A sides. If you do 50-50, that'll kill all of that nightlife. You see what I'm saying, brother? If you do 50-50, that'll kill all of that. When you got two apex predators fighting each other, ain't no A side. Both of us is 50-50. Just like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, I think Tyson Fury getting 60%, 60% this time. Just like when it was rumored that Fury and Joshua was going to fight, that was going to be a 50-50 fight, even though that Joshua had more belts and he did most of the heavy lifting. He was willing to give Tyson Fury 50% just to fight him in order to see can he beat him so he can get that belt. When you have two apex predators fighting each other, nightlife, there's no A side. Both of them are the A side.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's
shout out to Master Dio for the super chat. He said before he stepped away from the pay-per-view game, Canelo sold 1.1 million with Triple G twice. 1 million with Junior, Chavez Jr., and 900,000 with Cotto. That's his star, not Tank. Yeah, I got the numbers right here. I got all the numbers right here, all the pay-per-view numbers right here. I got all the pay-per-view numbers right here. I'm looking at them right now. When I'm gonna share the screen with you guys when I get my HDMI converter. I get that tomorrow and I'll be able to share my screen from this point forward so you guys can see it. All I'm saying is this here, man. The dude ain't what you say he is. Not no superstar. Leonard Ellerbe, I'm not buying it. Come on, coach. We all know the reason Mike Tyson got those numbers is because everyone is scared to illegally stream it. What did he do? What he did to Don King for stealing from him. Now I'm just saying, you talking about Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. So you trying to tell me that people were more interested in paying for two old, retired, washed up fighters that's in their 50s to fight each other. They was more interested in that from a pay-per-view standpoint than a superstar who's supposed to be the face of boxing and Tank Davis? Nah. Leonard Ellerbe, you are lying, sir. Leonard claims that it's going to be Tank versus Ryan in October. Okay, well if that's the case, Ryan Garcia is fighting for Golden Boy. I thought Floyd said that we are not going to make any other promoters rich. We're going to keep all our fights in-house. So that's a total contradiction to what Floyd Mayweather said. So is Floyd Mayweather lying when he says that Tank would not fight any other fighters outside of PBC and Mayweather Promotions? Or is Leonard Ellerbe lying? when he say that Tank Davis is going to fight Ryan Garcia in October. Somebody lying, guys. The both of them can't be right. Both of them can't be telling the truth. Both of them can't be telling the truth. Who lying? Because Floyd Mayweather clearly said in the Tank Davis press conference that Tank will only be fighting fighters with the PBC. They're going to fight all their fights in-house. That's what he said. Dr. Bufongo, what do you say, fam? He said there's also issues with non-PB pay-per-view worthy fights being pay-per-view. You shouldn't already, what you said, you shouldn't already know the outcome if it's pay-per-view worthy. Exactly. That's the whole point. People knew before the ink was dry that Tank was gonna beat Mario Barrios. Unless you was my co-host Shelton Moore. Unless you was Shelton. Unless you was Shelton. So when a star fighter, let me educate you social media babies who just started watching boxing within the past 5 years. What makes a superstar fighter? When an apex predator, a top-notch fighter, fights another top-notch fighter. When a star fighter fights a star fighter, the winner of those two stars will become the superstar. I.e., then guess what? The demand goes up in your salary and your pay. Because people are willing to pay more money to see you. When you are showing that you can not only fill up stadiums, but you can get people to buy those pay-per-view buys, that means there is a demand that is being met by the fighter. Because the fans are demanding that you fight another A-class fighter. And as long as you're fighting an A-class fighter, you will see 500,000, 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 pay-per-view buys on top of you selling out that venue. That's what makes you a superstar. But if you're fighting Mario Barrios, if you're fighting Terrence Crawford, if you're fighting Mean Machine, if you're fighting Danny Garcia, and you know Danny Garcia ain't beat nobody in the welterweight division. When you're fighting these guys that, and the fans want you to want to see you fight top level competition, the numbers is going to show that. They're not going to support it. So I say all that to say this. Don't believe what a damn promoter say. Shout out to Adrian.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
Shout out to Adrian for the super chat. Don't believe what a promoter telling you, because you can see there's clearly a double standard. When certain fighters, with certain promotional companies do the exact same numbers as a PBC fighter, they discredit the fighter who is not with the PBC and praise the fighter that's with the PBC. And they'll tell you that, yeah, because he with the PBC, these are big numbers. But because he's not with the PBC, even though they did the same numbers, or some of them even did less than this guy over here, we gonna disregard that guy. Tank should not be fighting no more pay-per-view fights. He's not pay-per-view worthy. Oh, I know I hurt some feelings right there. You know how I know he's not pay-per-view worthy? The 200,000 he just did with Mario Barrios tells me that. He's not a pay-per-view fighter. Tank need to be fighting on free TV. If he gonna fight some scrubs, if he gonna fight C-class fighters, fight those C-class fighters on free TV. Don't try to make me, as a fight fan, pay for that shit. I ain't paying $75. Let's see you fight a Mario Barrios. Eric, 1984, what do you say, fam? He say, Coach, I don't know about you, but when I go to the movies to watch a movie, I pay for the movie I want to watch, not what they tell me to buy. Exactly. Exactly. I pay for what I want to watch. I'm going to decide whether I want to separate myself from my money to pay for this fight. I didn't pay for that shit. For what? Shout out to everybody who paid to go see the fight, because there's nothing wrong with that. That's an experience. You showed Tank Davis and Mario Barrios your support by paying to go see the fight. You went to the hotels, you paid the tickets, you paid bought food, beer, alcohol in the concession stands, you bought merchandise, you showed your support. But those people who was at the arena watching Tank fight, that's a small, minute number of people. Versus what Leonard Ellerbe is telling me. He couldn't even get, he got 3 million subscribers on social media. He couldn't get followers. He couldn't get 500,000 of them. Say, man, look, this is Tank Davis. You know I'm a superstar in the sport of boxing. I am the face of boxing. I'm no one in boxing is bigger than me. I'm Tank Davis. Hey, man, I need all y'all. I need at least 500,000 of y'all to go buy my pay-per-view and watch this fight. He couldn't do that? Yeah, that moving the goalpost. King KO. They moving the goalpost. They always do that, bro. If they didn't have a double standard, they would not have a standard at all. Eliza Feliciano, what do you say, fam? You said Tank Davis versus Mario Barrios is an undercard fight. Yes, it is. Or if it's a main event fight, we shouldn't be paying for that shit. That shit should be on free TV. Matthew Singletary, you said you can't say Tank scrub. I didn't say Tank was a scrub. Never said Tank was a scrub. Never said it. And when y'all went to the arena, Floyd Mayweather patted y'all down as you entered the arena.
Hey, Leroy!
Super chat received.
Playtime's over, boy.
One more thing. I think Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe are overrating and banking on the Mexican dollar. Santa Cruz, Barrios, and eager for Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is by far the biggest fish. That'll do some numbers. And it'll do numbers based on Ryan Garcia alone. Him fighting Tank Davis, it'll do some numbers. They need to make that fight happen. Shout out to Y2K for the super chat. Shout out to Y2K for the super chat. Showbiz the Adult just posted a video saying Leonard Ellerbe slipped up by saying Tank will fight Ryan Garcia in October. Ain't watched it, but he just posted it. Do you see what I'm saying? Matthew Singletary, we say, oh, that was my statement. Yeah. I got you. I'm just letting you know I never said that, though. Jabril Bay, what do you say? Sugar Ray Robinson fought the mob, knew his worth as a pay-per-view, knew his worth as pay-per-view came in the 50s when he was middleweight champ. Sugar Ray was very good about overseas revenue and all the details. He would cancel in the last minute. Yeah. Fury versus Wilder 3, so close now. 2 weeks away this weekend. End of excuses. Good heavyweight card. Hyped. And guess what? I want to show you guys something. If you look at the undercard of the Tyson Fury Wilder third match, it's something that you're going to see. You're going to see top-ranked fighters and PBC fighters fighting each other outside of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. So when you hear certain fighters say, oh man, he on the wrong side of the street. He got a boss, I ain't got no boss. Hey, I want to fight you. Call Al. I'm big fish, cap, big fish. How come the other side of the street is working together on this fight, not only this main event fight, but the undercard as well? See, when these fighters want to justify moving a certain way, they try to throw it on someone, they call it projecting. They project on you what they're doing. That's all it is, bro. So I call out the hypocrisy. I call out the double standards. That's what I do. I call that shit out because I call it the way I see it. I ain't on the payroll with nobody. I ain't got no connections, none of that. So I'm free to say what I want to say. I ain't got to kiss nobody's ass. I don't have to toe the line. I'm going to call it like I see it, regardless of what or who. And I ain't here to make no goddamn friends with them. I'm good. Because we going to take off regardless. I can promise you that. Aaron, what you say, man? He said, Coach, why not go for the for greatest fight? T.O. fight Josh Taylor and whoever at 130. And you could be a three-weight undisputed champ. Not sure if anyone has done that. Nah, the way his handlers is handling him, they don't want none of that. Southside Boston say, Coach, back in the day, we could watch Leonard and Hagler and Hearns and Duran, etc. over here in the UK for nothing. Those were the days, real fights and real fighters. Yeah, man, them days over with. Southside Boston, them days over with, man. Right now, you got Floyd Mayweather, him and Leonard Ellerbe, in my opinion, is effing up the sport of boxing. They effing up the sport of boxing, in my opinion. And Floyd Mayweather, when he was a fighter, Floyd Mayweather, as a promoter, is doing a terrible job, in my opinion. Because the fans are not stupid. Hell, even Tank Davis fans not stupid. They not supporting them like that. You know how I know? 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Tell me everything I need to know. The numbers don't lie. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care how you dice it. I don't care how you try to smack it up, flip it, rub it down. At the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. 200,000 pay-per-view buys are terrible. 200,000 pay-per-view buys are terrible. The fans do not want to see that. They want to see a killer fight another killer. If this guy is as good as you say he is. So I ain't buying it. Tank Davis is one of my favorite fighters. Yes, he is. Tank Davis is a phenomenal talent. Yes, he is. Tank Davis is quick. He hits hard. He has knockout power in both hands. He has excellent footwork. All of that is true. But is he a superstar? Hell no. There's nothing super about that star. There's nothing super about that star. Is he a star fighter? Yes. Is he a superstar? Hell no. What would make him a superstar when he gets in the ring with Josh Taylor, when he gets in the ring with Teofimo Lopez, when he gets in the ring with Vasily Lomachenko, when he gets in the ring with other fighters who are on his level, and we literally do not know who is going to win that fight. When you step in the ring with the fighter and it's a 50-50 fight, whoever wins that fight, that would tell me who the superstar is. Because star power plus star power equals superstar power. I know you social media boxing fans don't know that. I know I'm the old guy, 47 and a half years old. I'll be 48 in January. I know I'm the old guy and I'm kind of out the loop with the younger crowd, but I got to educate you younger crowd on something. Star fighter plus star fighter equals superstar. You don't become a superstar fighting Mario Barrios. You don't become a superstar fighting the other guy you fought, Leo Santa Cruz. You become a superstar when you fight Teofimo Lopez. When you fight Josh Taylor. When you fight Mikey Garcia, I guess, in that weight division, if you want to throw him in there. When you fight Vasily Lomachenko. That's when you become a superstar. Leonard Ellerbe, we don't believe you, sir. Now, if that's their business model, so be it. They ain't paying Tank a lot of money. They only getting them $1 million. The man got paid $1 million guaranteed for that fight. And he gonna get the rest of his money from the pay-per-view sales. And once everything is clear, he should come away with like $2.6 million, somewhere up in there. That's including the $1 million that they gave him. Paid him up front. Hey man, I got to call it like I said, dog. You can't tell me that this guy, he did 200,000. Man, that was a flop. That was terrible numbers. But then when it comes to your fighter, he does the same numbers as the guy you said that was a flop and did terrible numbers. And then you want to turn around and move the goalpost and say it's good. Those are great numbers. Nah, you ain't going to tell me that. You're not going to tell me that. I can't go for that. I'm going to tell you something. For all you younger fight fans out there, there's an R&B group. I think they came out of Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong about the city. A soul R&B group by the name of Hall & Oates. They made a song called I Can't Go For That. I can't go for that, bro. I can go for you telling me polar bears can survive in the Sahara Desert. I can go for you telling me that you can get on a space shuttle and put the sun out with a water gun. I can go for you telling me that you can jump in the Pacific Ocean and fight a shark while holding your breath for 15 minutes, beating that shark, killing that shark, coming back up to the top of the water and swimming back to land. I can go for that. What I can't go for is you telling me that a guy who did 200,000 pay-per-view buys is a superstar. I can't go for that. When I know better than that. Leonard Ellerbe, we don't believe you. Floyd Mayweather, we don't believe you. Tank Davis is not a superstar fighter. He's a good fighter, but he's not a superstar. So I just broke it down for you new booties who just started watching boxing. All you guys who my age and older or a little younger, you know what I'm talking about. This is not for you guys. This is for the new booties, the social media boxing fans. He did 200,000. Bro, when we look up the top 55 pay-per-view sales of all time, guess what? None of the PBC fighters are on that list. The only one that's on that list is a retired fighter who fought with the PBC in partnership deals, and that's Floyd Mayweather. So for all you new booties out there, don't let Leonard Ellerbe fool you. Your guy's not a superstar fighter. Remember, how do you become a superstar? How do you get taken to the next stratosphere in any sport? Forget boxing. This is in any sport. How do you get taken in the Olympics? Right now, we have the Olympics going on right now. I'm going to give you a perfect analogy, and then I'm going to wrap it up, and we're going to wrap this show up. In the Olympics, you get gold medals for coming in first place. The only way you can come in first place, the only way you can get a gold medal, you have to race against the best competition in that particular sport. So if you are a sprinter and you're running the 100-yard dash, that means you are racing against, let's say you're in the lane, right? There's 8 racers in the lane, 8 runners in the lane. And they are all running to the finish line. If I'm in lane 1, there are 7 other guys that are the best in the world that I'm racing against. When I finish my race, if I come in first place, I would get the gold medal. And everybody around the world would know I am the best Olympic track runner in the world. Do you want to know why? Because I raced against everybody in that particular event in the Olympics. If Tank Davis ain't fighting Teofimo Lopez, if he's not fighting Devin Haney, if he's not fighting Vasily Lomachenko, if he's not fighting Josh Taylor, do not tell me he is the best when he hasn't fought the best. Don't tell me he's a superstar when he hasn't fought another star fighter that's on his level. I can't go for that. If this is a knock on Tank Davis, no, it's not. This is not an indictment on Tank Davis. This is an indictment on Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather Jr. We knew Usain Bolt was the best Olympic track runner on the 100-yard dash because he ran against the best. If you're not fighting the best, you can't claim that you are the best. You're going to have to prove it. This is why your fans, Tank, they only did not buy this fight. 200,000. They gassing you up, brother. They don't have any faith in you. Floyd Mayweather don't have faith in Tank Davis. This is why you won't see him fight no top guys. You don't get the gold medal. Now, to your fan base, you get the gold medal. They cool with that. But in order to become a superstar fighter, if you are a star, you're going to have to fight another star. And depending on the outcome of that fight, that's how we would know who is the superstar. So this is for you social media fans. Not gonna say fanboys. You social media boxing fans. This is how you become a superstar in the sport of boxing. When there's a demand, I got it written down, supply and demand. When the fans are demanding that you fight other apex predators. If I acknowledge that you are an apex predator and I take everything that Leonard Ellerbe is telling me that Tank Davis is the best thing since sliced bread. If I was to take what he's saying and run with it, I need to see some proof in what you're saying. I need him to fight other apex predators. Because I believe that he is just as good as those guys and that he will beat those guys. But my belief is not based on any facts. Why is it not based on any facts? Because until they fight each other, it's not a fact. It's a belief that's not based on any actual facts. What is an assumption? An assumption is a thought without an actual fact. So if I assume that my fighter will beat your fighter, what is it based on? Oh, well, you know what? He beat Mario Barrios, or he beat the Mean Machine, or he beat little Mikey Garcia. Okay, but that doesn't mean that he will beat this guy. But still, because he beat them, I'm gonna use my circular logic. In my mind, using circular logic, because he beat them, I know damn well he'll run through that guy. So we don't even need to see that fight. Oh, we don't need to see these two fighters fight each other, but we need to see him fight Mario Barrios. Oh, okay. Ta, little tink tink, po little tink tink. Polar tink tink. And then you're going to let a promoter tell you that Josh Taylor ain't nobody. Yeah, he ain't nobody. He just undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world. That's all he is. He just undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world. He got it the hard way. Only had 18 professional fights. And this man undisputed. The only undisputed fighter in the sport of boxing right now. The only one. Some may say is, Teofimo Lopez is undisputed as well, but that's a dispute with that. So I'm not even going to count Teofimo Lopez. Not discrediting Teofimo Lopez for all you Teofimo Lopez fans. I'm not discrediting him. But depending on who you talk to, he's undisputed, but then he's not undisputed, depending on who you talk to. But one thing that's not in dispute, Josh Taylor is the undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world. So, that's all I have to say. You know what I mean? Well, this is what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to give everybody a shout out. So for all of you Leonard Ellerbe fans out there, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Please don't. Floyd Mayweather is lying to you. Leonard Ellerbe is lying to you. The numbers don't lie. If Terrence Crawford and Miracon 200,000 pay-per-view buys, according to Mike Carpenter, are terrible numbers, and it's a flop, then Tank Davis 200,000 pay-per-view buys are terrible numbers, and it's a flop as well. You can't have it both ways. I can't go for that. Both of them was flops. We can't do that. We're not gonna play these crackhead games today. So what we're gonna do is this here. Let me go ahead and give everybody a shout out. Shout out to my sister Lisa Bales. Shout out to my co-host. As a matter of fact, let me give everybody a round of applause. Shout out to my sister Lisa Bell. Shout out to my co-host. Shout out to Shelton Moore. He's not here right now. He's taking care of family business. Shout out to Karma Serene. Shout out to Eliza. Shout out to King T.O. Shout out to Adrian. Shout out to Terrell Norris. Shout out to Mike Singletary. Shout out to Joe Strummer. Shout out to the beautiful one. Shout out to Southside Boxing. Shout out to Double A the Sagittarius. Shout out to the Sunwoo NYC. You're right, fam. They logging. What you say? They log jamming the best view. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I don't agree with the superstar part. I mean, he's not there yet. He's not there yet. He has superstar talent. So you're right about that. He has superstar talent. I know, you know what? You're right about that. He has superstar talent. He just don't have superstar numbers. You know what I mean? It's like a basketball player. You say, oh man, that dude a superstar. But his numbers ain't showing that. He averaging 8 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and he's playing 48 minutes. His numbers don't show that. You know, but I get what you're saying though. Shout out to Johnny Blaze. Shout out to Peter Von Arks. Shout out to Champ Ross. Shout out to Jeff Lucietta. Shout out to Dragon Leg. Shout out to Philly Fly. Shout out to Halim and Coach Asgi. Shout out to Dolores Dumas. Hold on, what you said? I seen an interview where Mayweather said he predicted 1 to 2 million pay-per-views for Tank Leo Santa Cruz site. And look at what came out. Nobody said nothing. Yeah. The Mayweather them lying. They lying. They capping. Now that's cap. That's cap. Shout out to John B. the Poetic. Shout out to Retro Boxing and Documentaries. Please subscribe to my brother YouTube channel. Shout out to, I want to make sure I get Jeff Lucietta. Shout out to you, fam. Shout out to Peter Von Arks. Shout out to Jabril Bay. Shout out to Kathy W. What's going on, sis? Too many contradictions and biased nonsense, and all the politics is killing the sports in general. Absolutely. Shout out to Adrian. Shout out to Joe Strummer. Shout out to Bon Scott. Shout out to Smith & West who was here. Shout out to Toon. Shout out to Philly Fly. Shout out to Matthew Singletary. Shout out to Proud Father. Shout out to Bon Scott. Shout out to James Burrell. Shout out to Levi Smith. Who else we have? Shout out to Southside Boxing. And shout out to James Burrell, and I think that's it. Once again, it's our boy Coach Malachi Williams, representing for New Media Today, USA Boxing. We are on again tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We will be on again tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Once again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Please like, share this video. And other than that, that's it. That's our boy Coach Malachi Williams, represent for New Media Today, USA Boxing. Once again, signing out. Peace.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Come on.